President Museven, I address you directly now, and I do so with respect but also with honesty. This message comes from Burkina Faso, from West Africa, from your fellow Africans who care deeply about what happens in Uganda. Sir, you have been in power for 40 years. 40 years. An entire generation has been born, grown up, and reached adulthood, knowing only one president. An entire generation has never known what it means to experience a peaceful transfer of power. An entire generation has never seen what true democracy looks like in their own country. Mr. President, I ask you, what are you afraid of? If you have served the people well, if you have brought development to Uganda, if you have improved the lives of ordinary Ugandans, then you have nothing to fear from this election. The people will vote for you if they believe you deserve to continue leading them. But if you have not served them well, if you have failed to bring the progress and prosperity they deserve, then they have every right to choose someone else. This is what democracy means. Democracy means that power belongs to the people, not to one man. Democracy means that leaders serve at the pleasure of the people, not the other way around. Democracy means that when the people want change, they have the right to vote for change. So, Mr. President, we are sending you this message. Let this election be free and fair. Do not deploy the military to intimidate voters. Do not send police with guns to patrol polling stations. Do not arrest opposition candidates. Do not harass their supporters. Do not try to rig this election. Let the people decide. Trust the people. Respect the people. If you truly believe that you have served Uganda well, then you should welcome a free and fair election. You should have no problem allowing opposition parties to campaign freely. You should have no problem allowing international observers to monitor the election. You should have no problem accepting whatever result the people deliver. But if you try to steal this election, if you try to use force and intimidation to cling to power, you will not succeed. The people of Uganda are awake. They are aware. They are ready for change. And the whole world is watching. My brothers and sisters, here is something very important that we want to emphasize. We do not want to see military personnel with weapons roaming the streets during this election. We do not want to see soldiers with guns at polling stations. We do not want to see armed security forces intimidating voters. Why do we say this? Because in every democratic country, elections are civilian affairs. Elections are about the people, not about the military. The military's job is to protect the country from external threats, not to interfere in elections. The military's job is to defend Uganda's borders, not to patrol polling stations with guns. Brothers and sisters, this is not just about posters. These campaign materials at the airport are symptoms of a much deeper problem. Think about what an airport represents. It is a national asset that belongs to all Ugandans, regardless of their political affiliation. It is funded by taxpayer money, maintained through public resources, and it serves as the face of Uganda to the international community. For such a space to be monopolized by a single candidate's campaign materials raises fundamental questions about fairness, about the proper use of public resources, about the integrity of the electoral process itself. When international observers arrive in Uganda to monitor your elections, the very first thing they see is this overwhelming display of incumbency advantage. Before they even clear immigration, they are confronted with visual evidence that this contest is not being conducted on a level playing field. The message is clear. One candidate has access to state resources, to public infrastructure, to every avenue of publicity, while his opponents must struggle for every inch of visibility. Some defenders will argue that nothing prevents other candidates from putting up their own posters at the airport. But you and I both know this argument is dishonest. Access to such premium advertising space is not available to everyone equally. In a genuinely democratic system, either all candidates would have equal access to such public spaces, or no candidate would be permitted to use them for partisan political purposes. The billboards throughout Kampala and across Uganda tell a similar story. As you move through your daily lives, you are bombarded with images and messages from one source. The visual landscape of your country has been captured, occupied, dominated by a single political narrative. Meanwhile, Bobi Wine and other opposition candidates must resort to physical grassroots campaigns, moving from village to village, trying to reach voters through personal contact because they have been systematically denied access to mass media platforms and public spaces. And what happens when these opposition candidates attempt to conduct their ground campaigns? You have seen it yourselves. Police roadblocks materialize suddenly. Campaign events are disrupted. Candidates are arrested, detained, sometimes beaten. Their supporters are dispersed with tear gas and live ammunition. Rally venues that were booked and paid for are suddenly declared unavailable. This is the reality of opposition campaigning in Uganda today. I have witnessed Bobi Wine's campaigns in rural areas, in communities far from the capital. What I have seen is a young leader with genuine popular support, drawing massive crowds of enthusiastic citizens who are hungry for change, desperate for new leadership, willing to risk police harassment just to attend a political rally. These are not paid crowds, brothers and sisters. These are ordinary Ugandans, many of them young people who have never known any president other than Museven, who are demanding their right to choose their own future. The contrast could not be more stark. On one side, you have a candidate who controls state resources, who can plaster his image across airports and billboards, who enjoys the protection of security forces, who has access to state media whenever he desires, who can campaign without fear. On the other side, you have candidates who must fight for every opportunity to communicate with voters, who face systematic obstruction, whose campaigns are treated as security threats rather than legitimate exercises of democratic rights. Now, I know some people accuse me of bias. They say I am a tool of Western interests, that I am promoting imperialism, that my coverage proves I have an agenda against African governments. Let me address this directly because it is important you understand my motivations. I am not here advocating for any particular candidate or party. I am speaking truth about what I see. If opposition candidates were to win power and then suppress dissent, manipulate elections, or abuse human rights, I would speak about that with equal vigor. My loyalty is not to any political party or leader. My loyalty is to truth, to justice, to the democratic rights of African people. The accusation that I am an agent of Western imperialism is designed to discredit legitimate criticism by wrapping it in nationalist rhetoric. But brothers and sisters, true Pan-Africanism does not mean defending African dictators simply because they are African. It means demanding that African leaders serve African people with integrity, transparency, and accountability. It means insisting that democracy in Africa should be as real and meaningful as democracy anywhere else. When I speak about electoral manipulation in Uganda, I am not serving Western interests. I am serving Ugandan interests, African interests, the interests of people who deserve to live in a truly democratic society. Let us return to President Museveni's slogan asking you to allow him to continue protecting the gains of his 40 years in power. This framing is clever but fundamentally dishonest. It assumes that all Ugandans agree significant gains have been made and that only Museveni himself is capable of protecting them. Each of these assumptions deserves to be challenged. 40 years is a very long time. An entire generation has been born and reached adulthood knowing only one president. Is this normal? Is this healthy for democracy? What opportunities have been lost during these 40 years of single-party dominance? What innovations have been stifled? What younger leaders have been prevented from emerging? What corruption has been enabled by the concentration of power in one person's hands for so long? The assumption that only Museveni can protect whatever gains have been made is perhaps the most problematic element. It suggests that Ugandan institutions are so weak, that the Ugandan people are so incapable, that without this one man everything will collapse into chaos. This is not confidence in Uganda, brothers and sisters. This is an insult to Uganda. It says Ugandans cannot govern themselves, cannot be trusted to choose new leadership without risking national disaster. Democratic systems are built on the premise that no individual is indispensable, that institutions are stronger than personalities, that power can and should transfer peacefully. When a leader suggests that only he can save the nation, that his departure would mean catastrophe, this is not the language